Going live.
And we're live again. Welcome back, everyone, to the Women's Officers session of the 2020 MUSA election debates. Now, a quick rundown on how we'll be carrying out this debate session and most of our debate sessions. We will start, of course, with our intro at the moment, before going on to 7 minutes of an opening statement by our candidates, before moving on to the Q&A session by the current office bearers, as well as another 20 minutes of a Q&A from the public. Now, of course, if you have any questions you'd like to send them in, do type it into the YouTube chat, and we'll pass it on to the candidates. And once the public Q&A session is over, we'll wrap it up with a closing statement. So, to introduce our candidates for women's offices this year, we have Shivanya and Kirti. The floor is yours for your opening statement.
Thank you. Okay. Hi guys, my name is Shivanya and this is my partner Kirti. So we are both running for women's officers and we are part of the ACM party of 2020. Currently, I am a member of Women's Officers Subcommittee while Kirti is a member of the Activities Subcommittee. We have come together motivated by our passion for gender equality and inclusivity to do our part in ensuring that Monash culture is one that is free from gender-based discrimination and violence. Firstly, we would like to thank Amanda and Joey, the current women's office bearers, for guiding us through the process of being a women's officer, as well as providing valuable insight into the responsibilities of a women's officer. Now, as women's officers, we believe that the safety and inclusion of women is important, not only on campus but everywhere else. We seek to provide support and care towards students who have been made victims of gender-based harassment and violence. We hope to provide a safe space for women and the LGBTQ community to be able to be who they are and that they should not suppress their feelings and emotions. We also like to educate the Monash population in order to redefine gender as a whole. Now to Kirti.
In terms of inclusivity, Monash is already way ahead of other Malaysian universities, we'd like to believe. A good indicator of this is the existence of the women's department itself. As students from Monash, we're already members of one of the most diverse student communities in Malaysia. However, the existence of a diverse community in terms of gender in our case does not necessarily mean that we all have equal representation. In a system that's predicated on patriarchy, some of us are conditioned to accept the status quo of gender roles and stereotypes. As women's officers, we hope to encourage Monash to question and rethink these concepts and promote the conversations that foster a culture of inclusivity. We understand the gravity of the issues that are expected to be dealt with, and we are ready to tackle them head on. However, the existing protocol and statutes limit our scope of involvement. Together, we hope to identify the gaps in such laws and push for a louder voice to represent the student community. We hope to follow the footsteps of our predecessors and join them in their effort to establish a special committee to deal with sexual harassment-related cases. To add on from our part, we propose a plan to work with the school and country reps to have them be additional points of contact to add a care package system. To add a humanitarian aspect to the equation of MUSA and the student community, we hope to implement a system of donations based on attendance in our ongoing events such as weekly discussions. As for our social media page, we hope to make it more resourceful by including more informative posts about related issues.
Furthermore, we understand that the topic of gender equality and inclusivity is not one that should be limited to Monash itself, but one that needs to be addressed and incorporated into the student culture of Malaysia as a whole. With this in mind, we hope to have inter-campus events which promote and educate the students of Malaysia on the importance of gender equality and inclusivity with the hopes of motivating the students to create their own gender equality related initiatives.
With that said, this is the vision that we have for the future of Monash. We are looking forward to answering your questions to the best of our capabilities. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Shivanya and Kirti. Thus ends the opening statement. We shall now move on to the office bearer Q&A session. And so we'll invite Amanda and Joey, the 2020 women officers. All right, whenever you're ready to ask the first question.
Hi.
I'll go first. The computer was actually lagging for me. Could you guys just go over again some of your main events that you are excited to carry out in 2021?
One of them, which I talked about just now, was an inter-campus event which can promote gender equality and inclusivity among towards other campuses as well. We can have other universities involved in this to just promote it.
And over that, we also hope to have, just as like with our discussions with you guys, as the current women's officers, that we do understand that there are like gaps in the policies that are currently in place. So we also want to push for the formation of that special committee. And also, sometimes we do understand that people are more comfortable with those that they see more often than women's officers. So that's why we want to have the country reps and the school reps so that they can also be a point of contact. Other than that, for our ongoing weekly discussions, we hope to take it forward. And for that, to add like a humanitarian aspect to it, we want to establish a system of donations based on the attendance, as in like for every person that attends to talk about these important issues, we also have like donations in their name from our budget itself. And then other than that, like for Women's Week, we would like to have forums from other universities, as Shivanya mentioned, forums with more like the more established women in our society. Yeah. And also like for care package system in case of like sexual harassment cases, we do understand the gravity of the issue, but just as a gesture of care from our part, we hope to have like a care package system.
Okay, I think I'll go next with another question. So this is more on when you guys talked about safe space. Um, so of course, our university, no matter what, is still in Malaysia. So how do you guys plan on creating safe spaces? So as mentioned, for both women and LGBTQIA plus community on campus, and also especially for like the foreseeable future right now, like online. Like how do you guys plan on doing that? And on that note as well, so Monash Malaysia do have a women's room right now. So how would you guys maybe better utilize or just even like better the space itself?
So we do understand the laws that are prevalent in Malaysia, but every society that has an established ground for LGBTQ and women and basically the sexual minorities, they have all started at some point. We want to promote a culture where we can be that starting point where everyone can be comfortable, whoever they are, just however they want to be as themselves in Monash. So we might not be able to influence the law as a whole right away, but we definitely can provide a safe space to those who are in Monash. So like inside the walls of Monash, nobody is forced to be anything more than what they actually are. And also to add on about the women's room, so we understand that that you guys, Joey and Amanda, had like plans, but then the COVID situation hit us really hard and bad. So we also want to take in your initiatives where you said that you guys are interested in revamping the women's office. We want to do that in the sense that we want to make it a resource to the women on campus, as in we make sure that there are resources that they can access, say sanitary napkins, for example, for free with the concept of sustainability in mind. And also COVID situation, I feel like most of the events that we have planned, we can implement it online as well. We hope we don't have to do that, but if that happens, then we can do it online, because what our goal in the end is to promote these important conversations that we are now lacking, and also spread the idea and the correct understanding of important issues such as feminism, consent, LGBTQ rights. Would you like to?
Okay, I think I would like to follow up with another question with what you said as well. So, you mentioned a lot about like fostering conversation, starting conversation basically. But so in Monash, there's a trend where especially activities from women's officer, activities like people who actually participate in this kind of events, there are people who are already very much interested in the event itself, right? So say you're going to talk about gender sensitivity, you're going to talk about the danger of maybe certain behavior, but people who would come for the event would already be people who know about all this. So how would you be how do you guys plan on reaching out to say communities or students who would not otherwise be interested in it as well?
Um, I think we spoke about this and we came up with the conclusion that no, we can't force everyone to join into the conversation. What we can do is make them understand how important it is. So with by liaising with other departments of MUSA as well, we hope to tell them that because obviously we can during other events in Monash we can go up and we can actually talk about these issues in like just the gist of everything and we can tell them hey so this is how our conversations go about and it would be great if you guys join in because you know we need to be talking about these things and also we feel that adding the humanitarian aspect to this where everybody knows see if you attend somebody gets help out of this then we feel like that will promote people to join in as well.
I do have another question. If I'm not mistaken, and my connection wasn't bad, you mentioned having other student leaders, other office bearers to be first point of contact for any survivors. I'm just wondering, how would that look like for you? Because one thing that we want to minimize when it comes to survivors coming forward is for them to not reenact or repeat their experience because it is really traumatic. So if you have multiple student leaders, would they be passed around or what would sort of, and also like, do you think that the student leaders would need to go through additional training? Yeah.
Okay, so regarding that, it was
Uh,
okay,
I think
so
what we believe is that see obviously we hope to have a committee with an official committee with the country reps and the school reps. So to be in the committee, we want to have workshops and further education about this particular thing. So like we understand that we can't just say hey so now people are going to come to you and then you just come to us. So we hope to have a proper official channel for this so that, as you said, we can minimize the information being spread around. And we understand that sometimes, even though we are known as the women's officers, the students from different schools, they are more likely to see their representatives more than us. So then they have that rapport with them. Always, when it's such an issue, we always have to build up a rapport with the victim, right? So we just think that it'll be easier on the victim for them to be the first point of contact, and then we can jump in.
also, if I could add on to that, regarding like how the school reps and country reps could possibly handle that, one of the things that I think we also discussed about was of having gender sensitization workshops among the MUSA members to make sure that they are more aware and they know how to handle situations like this. Yeah.
Um, do we still have time?
Oh, yes, yes, you do.
Okay. I do want to ask because in the manifesto, currently the office, we are also in charge of sort of not just women's the women community, but also like the LGBTQIA plus community and about sustainability as well. How would you guys go? How would you guys what are your plans to push for better diversity and to carry out these other, I guess, sub values? Sorry for the lack of a better word.
As we mentioned in our speech, we do understand that we have this diversity, but then this diversity doesn't mean anything if these voices are not heard. So we currently we have to work out on if we can get like, for example, the women's room. The LGBTQ community is not allowed to go in because it's the women's room. So we hope to work out a system where the LGBTQ community feels equally included as the women's, and also have a spokesperson to represent them. Because yes, we are in charge of LGBTQ community, but say an LGBT, say a male representative from the LGBTQ community wants to run for the women's offices, they can't do that because the laws prevent them from doing so. So we hope to work out a healthy and sustainable plan to have their voices be heard. Of course, we will be sensitive to to their voice, but we hope to have an official to push for an official representative as well. And in terms of sustainability, we hope, like, for say fundraising events, if we were to have in the future, we want to have we want to, like, come up with solutions such as having, like, tote bags or anything with messages on them, so that we promote sustainability in reusing what we have, and also in the women's department with NGOs who are also working in sanitary napkins that are good for the environment because it's reusable. So we hope to inculcate all of this together to keep sustainability and also that diversity. Thank you.
All right, then with what you guys talked about for the queer community, so you guys are talking about how you guys hope for a spokesperson, basically, like in one way or another, having another position in MUSA in one way or another, right? So definitely yes, when you're in Monash in Malaysia, in the campus itself, your safety is safeguarded as a openly queer student. That's definitely true. But the fact that everything is on social media today, when you say you guys are sharing stories of queer individuals, how would you guys be able to make sure and safeguard their safety in Malaysia as a whole? Because if something does go off hand, it's going to end very badly for Monash itself and for the student themselves. So how would you guys go around that?
Yes, we do understand that the risk exists, which is why, like, before we said that we are very keen and very passionate about being those safe spaces, but then out of the campus, the laws are not with us. So in case something, but then we don't want that to stop us from bringing out queer talents or bringing out uh, those, just for the risk that is involved, right? We don't want to keep those voices hidden. We want to make sure that it's heard. But with the legal aspects, I don't think it's not in our hands in any way. So we hope to um, liaise with the student life and the university itself on this case in the future if we do get elected. Thank you.
Joy, would you can take the stage.
All right. So building on you guys built a lot on how you guys want to change the system of how sexual harassment, sexual assault, sexual predatory cases are handled in Monash. So I kind of just want to see and hear y'all's idea of a perfect sexual predatory behavior slash experience reporting system, not just in a university. Say you guys are pushing for a lot of intercampus initiatives as well? Like, how can you guys use that to your advantage and maybe implement changes? Because you guys talked about, yes, having certain committees around, but how do you guys want to work around that with a lack of manpower in administrative staff? Like, they are already very much overworked. And again, it wouldn't be very sustainable to be relying on just every year's MUSA. So everything just gets refreshed. So how do you guys plan on working towards that?
So for that, by a committee we mean people who know what they're doing in these cases. So that is trained staff who deal with mental health cases, the security system that we have in place in Monash, so they can be alerted on time so that things don't go beyond bad. And then also um, the staff also need to be because we understand that there are official channels that this has to go through in order for it to work properly, and we understand that it's also the staff is already so overworked, but we want to but it just because the staff is overworked, yes, that is an issue, but this is a case that needs attention. This thing is happening, and people are suffering because of it. The victims are suffering because of it. So if the victim doesn't feel like they have a proper channel of help that they can go to, they are going to suffer in silence, and the perpetrator is going to go ahead and keep doing this more and more, which I believe because of this reason, I believe that this should be prioritized over other things. We also hope to liaise with other Monash campuses in Australia who already have this system in place and to seek their guidance as well.
Also, another thing I want to add regarding how we wish to handle like sexual assault, sexual harassment cases, because there's also the issue of victims being too afraid to come forward. So we have come up with the idea of possibly having forms where students can hand in like they can report harassment anonymously. So for now, that is what we have planned on that. If, yeah.
And even when they do report anonymously, we will try to find a channel where they can still get some amount of guidance without being able to disclose their identity until they feel comfortable to do so. And for the process, we also hope to include the counselors on campus so that they can be in the right state of mind to open up and to seek help more formally.
Um, sorry. So you did ask. Sorry, not you did. Joey, of am I lagging a lot? I think I am. Anyway, let me ask me to repeat it if you haven't caught any of them. So Joey asked regarding what can we do to safeguard LGBTQIA plus members off campus and online should we have events that might endanger them. And you said, and the answer was that it's pretty much out of our hands. Now, that is an issue because that is the same policy that Monash has with off-campus sexual harassment cases, even though the perpetrators were Monash students. And that's especially an issue now because we are not on campus, and a lot of harassment and assault cases happen off campus. And even if it's in, let's say, the student accommodation area, Monash will not take accountability. So students will go on to the perpetrators without any repercussions. So how would you really, I guess, approach that? Because yes, it's sort of off our hands, but in some way, Monash does have to take accountability for the acts of their students, especially if the acts are harassment and sexual assault.
So yes, we do acknowledge that, and this is one of the gaps that we mentioned in our speech. That yeah, even though the school knows there are issues going on, there is nothing being done just because we don't have laws to cover them. So we want to push for these rules to come in place to understand that be it a student that's getting assaulted on campus or off campus, if the student involved, the perpetrator, is from Monash, the school has to take responsibility because other students and this student who is already a victim has to be around the student again and again if there's no action being taken. That puts the whole student community at risk. So we want to establish this to the student life and make them understand that these are, if you don't do anything about it, this is going to keep happening, and we can't really sustain that because then we are putting the rest of the community in risk as well.
Also, in the case that like we actually have um, no like jurisdiction of handling the cases which are off campus, what we can do is we can definitely recommend them to NGOs which could definitely help them. And yeah, so we can recommend them to NGOs such as WHO and AWAM. Also, in the case of like, especially in the case of like, let's say classes next year are going to continue being online as well, and they can't come to campus to sort of report it to us personally. They can contact us, but most at the very best, what we can do is refer them to one of these NGOs to help them with their situations of harassment.
All right, and apologies for cutting in, but we have run out of time for the office bearer Q&A session. Joey and Amanda, if you do have more questions, we could follow up after we ask the questions from the audiences. Again, to the audience, if you do have any questions, submit them via YouTube chat, and we'll ask Kirti and Shivanya. So on to the first question from Ivan. Some universities are not as liberal or progressive. How are you going to go through with having an intercampus event when a lot of universities aren't as progressive?
The answer is yes.
Um, so by having intercampus events, our goal is to establish to these conservative or universities, for the lack of a better word, that we can't stay stagnant in our conservative beliefs. So if this is happening in Monash and the students in Monash are better in their like student life because of this, and by not taking forward these conversations, you are limiting someone's capability and you are limiting their chance. Like you are basically establishing that gender is either a detriment or an edge to someone's capability or capacity, as we mentioned in our manifesto. So with these intercampus events, we want to sort of promote these universities to be more accepting, to be more progressive towards, like, at least give them that there is a university that's functioning better because of this. What is it that is stopping you from doing it? We want to like also question them a bit, not false issues, but question them a bit on why, what is stopping you from doing this? What are your underlying beliefs that is forcing you to be stagnant in your mentality?
All right, but you need to go into a bit more specifics on how you can, convince these other universities or actually get them to join in as well.
Okay, so one of the ideas that I thought of was that if some of these, I do understand that some of these universities might not be as progressive. Maybe to get them to have them like, get a better understanding, we could actually go to those universities and maybe have like a short event or sort of like a talk to sort of let these people know what this inter campus event would be like in order for them to be more informative, and hopefully it will sort of motivate them to actually attend.
Also have like workshops to sensitize them towards the issue of this gender-based violence. and to maybe if it is the fact that if they're lacking the understanding that stopping someone from taking these issues in and stopping others, students from coming out with the best of their capabilities. I think we can have gender sensitization just like we want to make it mandatory for MUSA members. We can sort of invite them to attend those as well, so that they understand that there is a problem. That's what is stopping them. Thank you.
All right. Well, we'll see if Ivan would like to ask a follow-up on that or not. But moving on to the next question. Again from Ivan, many cases of harassment are underreported for a variety of reasons, leaving many harassers going about with no repercussions. Is there anything you have planned to work on the issue?
Yes. So as we said, sometimes these harassment cases go underreported because maybe they're not comfortable with opening up to everyone equally. So by having the committee with country representative officers and school representative officers, maybe they're in a better position to sort of come out and say that there is an issue, and they know that it is going to stay within us. It's not going to spread around or be another issue. Another thing was, as we mentioned, the open anonymous feedback about sexual harassment cases on campus, where people can come in, fill in anonymously, so that we can work out a system where they can be connected to our counselor, so that they feel mentally stable and capable and in a better position to open up. Yeah. Also, if they want, also suggest other NGOs if they would like that route as well. If they don't want to deal with the university, if they feel like, oh, if I report to the university, then people are going to know and it's going to be an issue in the university. So also based on whatever they would like to do, we would like to keep the options open for them.
I see. All right. Okay, so that does ends our questions from the audience. Joey and Amanda, do you have any more questions to ask Shivanya and Kirti?
I do have one. So not too long ago, it is a little known that the weight of sort of ensuring the campus or even the MUSA working environment is a safe space. How would you sort of tie in, for example, the EXCO members of MUSA to also take sexual harassment and sexual assault and work towards a safer space, so that we can keep one another accountable as student leaders, and also yeah, to keep one another accountable.
I'm sorry, we would like to clarify on the question. Do you mean how would we keep each other accountable, in the sense that we make sure that everyone in MUSA functions in a way that's gender sensitive? Is that what you mean?
That's part of it. Let me clarify, because whenever it comes to matters pertaining to sexual assault, sexual harassment, people usually just sort of chuck it to the women's officers department. So how can the EXCO members or MUSA as a whole, how can you link that bridge together so that MUSA as a whole is responsible to ensure that the working environment, or even trickles down to the student in general, that we take sexual harassment and assault seriously, and we are all working towards a respectful community, a respectful environment.
Oh, okay. So we just during our gender sensitization workshop, by making it mandatory, we believe that we we can include the rest of the MUSA members in the whole equation of sexual harassment and then dealing with sexual harassment.
Well, also to add on to that, I don't, I'm not sure about the future MUSA members, but among our ACM party, we all have a certain level of understanding towards each other. So I think to us, we believe that getting them to be more involved in this won't be too much of a complication. That is definitely something that we can openly discuss on as a party, in the case that we are all elected as well.
And based on our discussions, our party members, they understand the gravity of the issue, and they also understand the shortcomings that we have in the existing policies. So we believe we can unite everyone, the party as a whole, and also those who are outside the party if they get elected. We hope that we can unite everyone to understand the gravity of the situation and why we need immediate action.
All right. Thank you, Shivanya and Kirti. We do have another question coming in. Uh, some places, oops, all right, yeah. Some places restrict progressive movements overall because of their ties with the government, being public universities or on-campus societies that pressure them. How do you aim to deal with these universities? I believe this is a follow-up to the earlier question.
Okay, so in that case, possibly like let's say if we're having some sort of a talk maybe somewhere else regarding what we know about gender equality and inclusivity on our campus, and if when we're sharing it, we can sort of do it as like sort of a live stream where like it will also allow like students to or anyone to just go onto those streams and learn more from there.
We would also urge to find out if the students in those universities, from these student council members in different universities, if, if there is the need for this, then we can work together to get the universities to hopefully agree on, yes, that these issues are important, and that like if students want to talk about it, then we have to foster these conversations.
All right, thank you, Shivanya and Katie. We don't have. We're still waiting for more questions. So we'll have another call out for questions to the audience watching. If you do have any questions, do type them in. In the meantime, while we wait, Joey and Amanda, again, do you have any questions or follow-ups?
I think that's it for me, really. Joey, what about yourself?
I think we've grilled them enough at this point. So yeah.
All right, understood. Yep. Okay, so while we wait for the audience to maybe submit some more questions, we'll just go through what we've got left for the debates. It is the final debate for day 3. Debate day 4 starts tomorrow. We start off with the head of CNS before we go for another 6 more debates after that, eventually ending with the president's debate. Also, if you do want to check out check out Shivanya's and Kirti's manifesto on either the MUSA Instagram or the election website. Also in the YouTube chat, link there. And if you want to check out more or keep yourself up to date or informed about the other candidates for the election, do head over as well to the website and Instagram. In the meantime, too, we'll have a quick rundown of what we've got left for the election. There is voting starting this Friday. Friday, week 6 is when voting will start. You see Dominic there said hi in the chat as well. Voting starts this Friday and will go on all the way to next week's Friday. Yep. So be prepared for that. Stay tuned to the channels for information on the voting system that we'll be using. Again, waiting for more questions. If you do have any questions, do send them in. If not, we shall be moving on to the closing statements. All right, Shivanya and Kirti, seems like we do not have any more questions. So you have 7 minutes on the clock. Your closing statement, please.
So all in all, with what we've presented and everything, we want to again enforce and highlight the fact that if we do get elected, we want to have a culture in Monash that is free from gender bias, where everybody can come in as themselves and be themselves on campus without fearing any repercussions for that. Also, we would like to thank our party for giving us this opportunity, and also Monash for giving us this opportunity and having the system of a women's officer where there's a cell where students can go directly to and report their issues, because we understand, we come from the same sexual minority, we understand that there are issues that's happening. And also, while we said that we were running for the women's officers, we both got a lot of questions as to why there's no men's, why is there no men's department, why only women's, don't you think that is a gender bias? So we want to take an example and add with the example of food, because food solves all problems, is that if your food doesn't have salt in it, you add salt, you don't add all the ingredients together. So in a system that is based on patriarchy, that is predicated on the principles of patriarchy, if there is a problem with sexual minorities, you find representation for them. Yeah, thank you. Shivanya, would you like to?
As the candidates for women's officers, we believe that we are appropriate for this position because as women we do understand the struggles, especially as minority women. We understand the struggles that women have to go through. We've had our own experiences, which is what has motivated us rather than to close ourselves in. It has motivated us to come out and to also help other women who have also gone through these experiences. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. What for us?